Hey, I'm Jim Barry. Once again, this is Miami Life, the show that tackles the hot topics and talks to the people who make South Florida the one-of-a-kind place that it is. And of course, a big part of life here in South Florida is going out on a boat. And it can be a great time until tragedy strikes. The death of 15-year-old Ella Adler 2 weeks ago reminds us of the dangers that can occur out on the water. While investigators continue to look at how she died, a big question has resurfaced. Do we need tougher boating regulations?
The list is endless of what can go wrong.
The death of 15-year-old Ella Adler has fueled talk of tighter boating regulations in South Florida waters. Ella was killed while wakeboarding at the Nixon Beach sandbar near Key Biscayne on May 11th. Police say she was struck by a 42-foot Boston whaler steered by 78-year-old Carlos Alonso, who did not stop. Alonso's attorney says her client had no idea he had hit anyone. His boat has been impounded pending the investigation.
Just pay attention, be responsible, and if you're a parent of a young adult, or if your child has their own watercraft, you really have to be sure that he or she is ready for that next step.
For Alex Alvarez, boating safety is intensely personal. He lost his 18-year-old son Lucas 4 years ago when the boat he was in hit a channel marker near Isla Mirada. Now Alex Alvarez has joined 3 foundations to promote a new boater safety awareness campaign.
So we're going to be going to local high schools and educating students on boating safety.
Lawmakers also want change. Miami-Dade Commissioner Raquel Regalado wants boat-related hit-and-run accidents to be designated as a felony. Above all, she wants people to exercise good judgment out on the water.
Obviously, we want people to be responsible. What the families want is for everyone that gets behind a vessel to be aware of their surroundings.
Captain Rufus Wakefield, who has a captain's license from the Coast Guard, knows how to be safe at sea. He told CBS Miami that too many people in South Florida have no clue how to responsibly helm a boat.
When you buy a boat, the dealer gives you the key and turns you loose on the world. So we call those people key captains because that's really all they know.
Miami-Dade has more registered recreational boats than any county in Florida. It also had the second most boating accidents last year. Unlike a car or truck, there is no minimum age requirement to operate a boat in Florida. To man a boat with 10 or more horsepower, you just have to pass a safety course to get a boating safety ID card. Now some wonder, is that enough? All right, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission is leading the probe of the tragedy at Nixon Beach. With us now is our person of interest on this topic. He is FWC Chairman Rodney Barreto, an old friend of ours here at CBS Miami. And Rodney, I've been talking to some of my friends who are out on the water a lot, and they tell me it's like a free-for-all out there.
You know, they are right, Jim. And by the way, it's great seeing you again. You look great.
Thank you.
After the pandemic, or during the pandemic, one of the things everybody did was go out on their boat. And I don't know if you know that, but we opened the county, I led an effort to open the county parks and allow people to take their boats out. So we had a lot more people out on boats and a lot of people out on golf courses. And to this day, they both are still pretty much overwhelmed. Florida leads the country in the most registered boats in America. So we do have a lot of boats out there.
And so with a lot of boats come a lot of accidents. Miami-Dade had the highest number of accidents it's ever had last year. So how do we get a handle on that?
You know, it's education, it's law enforcement. We encourage boaters to first of all, look at the weather before you go out, understand, the wind, the rain, the thunderstorms. We live in South Florida, we live in the tropics. So that's number one. Number two is boater safety. We encourage everybody to take a boater safety course. They're out there, or call Fish and Wildlife. We'll be happy to assist. If you think you're in the right area, the wrong area, where can I water ski, where can I not water ski, we'll help you. We'll help guide you to those things.
All right, and this tragedy involved a young lady just 15 years old, wakeboarding. And apparently there are a lot of wakeboarders in that area that are hitting pretty high speeds. I know this investigation is still ongoing. Where does this investigation stand right now?
So right now we've taken the physical evidence, we've pushed it up to Florida Department of Law Enforcement. They're reviewing that evidence. We are still collecting photos and videos, of the area. Believe it or not, we have so many different videos of this boat, with the operator on the boat. So we're kind of verifying all the different videos and photos right now.
Says he didn't see her.
You know what? I wasn't there. It's a big boat. It's, you know, if the water was rough, and you know, it's a good possibility he didn't see her. You know, when you power up on a boat, you know, the bow rises up. I wasn't there, so I don't know what part of when he powered up, or if he just was going fast and didn't see her at all.
Man, I'm sure that the facts of this case will play themselves out.
They will.
But in a situation like that, if you don't see someone in the water, it raises the question of legally who is at fault, or is there fault in it?
Well, I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I think the lawyers would tell you that they still have responsibility, whether they know they hit somebody or not, or did not know they hit them. So, but that's up to the courts to decide.
What tighter regulations would you like to see, if any?
Well, we're working on several right now. In fact, I spoke with Kathy Kathy Fernandez-Rundle about that. She's got one of her top lawyers working on some potential changes. I put them together with our top lawyers in Tallahassee to talk about those changes. We would have to go to the legislature to get them approved, and we're willing to do that. I don't know if you remember a year ago, Lucy Fernandez lost her life.
I remember it.
And there was the driver of the boat at the time, you know, said he didn't want to give his blood sample. But we had a law at one time that if there was a death involved, we can take it automatically. We didn't need to ask you. We're trying to reinstate that law. I believe it was the Supreme Court that overturned the law, and now we're trying to get it back because we believe that, you know, more and more boats out there, people are enjoying their liberties, and some of them get carried away. And so we need the tools in our toolbox to do our job. Sure.
Lastly, you got to be 16 to drive a car. I understand a 14-year-old can operate a boat. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And those are part of the discussions. Now, I would tell you that every time we try to pass a new rule regulation, there is the boating industry, who is the boating and the jet ski industry that fight us. They fight us politically in Tallahassee. They block us when we try to implement laws. So that we go. It's just like anything in life, right? So we got to build a good case, present it to the legislature, and hopefully they get it passed and have the governor sign it.
And hopefully it won't take more tragedies for that to happen.
That's correct.
Yeah. Rodney Barreto, thank you so much, man, for being here today.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, when we come back, police departments selling their guns. A CBS News Miami investigation looked into why local agencies sell their weapons and if they keep track of them. Also, we're going to take you to a very popular fruit stand that reminds us of what it's like and what South Florida used to be like. It's an oasis in the middle of suburbia, serving generations of customers. In fact, Rodney Barreto knows that place really well. So do I. Miami Life is coming right back. Welcome back. Police departments periodically have gun buyback programs, a way to get guns off the streets. However, when police departments upgrade their weapons, many actually sell their guns instead of destroying them. CBS News partnered with nonprofit newsrooms The Trace and Reveal to look into this, and it turns out several law enforcement agencies in South Florida sell off their old guns. Our Chelsea Jones has more on that.
Tangela Sears' only child was shot and killed almost 10 years ago.
I couldn't believe I had been with several families, and now it's happening to me. Why?
The shooter was found not guilty.
I lost that case to stand your ground, to make sure that our communities are safer.
But even before her own tragedy, Sears was a voice for families of murdered children, showing up to crime scenes and advocating with decision makers for change. How do you feel when I tell you that between 2006 and 2022, roughly 52,000 guns were sold by police departments nationwide, and they ended up at crime scenes?
We talk about taking guns off the streets every day. So to hear that this is going on, you're a part of the problem.
We reached out to these law enforcement agencies here in South Florida to ask, what do they do with their weapons that they're ridding of? Well, the answer isn't that simple, and Miami police sat down with me and they tell me they do sell their guns, but they also destroy guns that they find at crime scenes. Chief Manny Morales tells me in the last 30 years, the department has upgraded its weapons once. The new guns are cheaper to maintain and easier to get. The city of Miami has a partnership with Luz Police Distributors, a federally licensed gun dealer in Hialeah. We reached out to Luz, who did not want to comment. How much money did that cost to do that kind of deal? What did you guys get?
So the city got a little bit over $400,000 for it.
And you used that money to then purchase new guns?
Correct.
Have you guys had any record of your guns showing up at any of the crime scenes that you guys respond to?
So it's kind of difficult for us to kind of track them down in that, and we do always run any trace when we have a crime gun. What we have recovered in several crime scenes have been guns that were stolen from Miami police officers.
Law enforcement agencies have the call to action to get guns out of the hands of criminals, and Morales says MPD is doing just that.
Since October of 2021, we've taken a little bit over 2,600 guns off the streets. Every single one of them is destroyed.
Here's how other law enforcement agencies handle their weapons. We asked and learned that Florida Highway Patrol also sells its guns, though it isn't exactly clear who FHP sells to. The Broward Sheriff's Office tells us it doesn't sell old weapons, but instead trades them to federal firearms licensed dealers who could then legally sell them. The Miami-Dade Police Department does not sell its weapons. It has a strict policy regarding firearm retention and gave us this statement that says, under no circumstances will any firearm owned by or in the custody of the department be sold, transferred, exchanged, or loaned to any law enforcement agency or private concern, except in specific cases such as court-ordered disposal or official judicial proceedings. Firearms that are no longer required by the department are disposed of through destruction or dismantling of parts. This policy ensures that firearms are properly handled and accounted for within the department. What should they be doing with those guns when they do remove them?
Destroy them.
As for all of the South Florida law enforcement agencies examined for this report, it's unclear whether any of their guns have been found at crime scenes, and if so, how many. But Tangela Sears says no former police gun should leave the department at all.
We cannot have our police department doing anything that's going to allow these guns back on our streets. We can't have that.
So I can hear the concerns, and I believe that there's something that, not only the administration for the city of Miami, but other police departments across the nation should reevaluate.
We're going to take a deeper dive into this story now. Joining us now is Chelsea Jones, who just did that story. And Chelsea, I think a lot of people were just stunned to learn this. How long has this been going on?
This is not a new practice, especially for the City of Miami Police Department, which is the only one that sat down with me. This is something that they've had in works for decades. However, like you heard in that report, they've only done it once in 2021 when Manny Morales actually took the helm of that department. They upgraded their weapons because it was cheaper and easier to get the guns they now use. And so they made this switch, if you will, with Lou's Police Department. But again, this is something that they've had in the works for decades. As for the other departments, that's not clear because a lot of them did not play ball. They didn't go on the record, answer a lot of questions.
Interesting. Well, CBS News Investigations did a broad national story about this, and you localized it, I think, very expertly. And one of the police officials in that report kind of justified it by saying, hey, look, we saved the taxpayers some money. We heard Manny Morales there say that the city of Miami made about $400 grand off of selling these guns, so they can justify it that way. And it's not illegal, but I think a lot of people would question, is it ethical?
And I think that is the big question, which is why we wanted to sit down with police departments and kind of see what they thought about it. But technically, like you said, it's legal, so they can do this practice. I think the issue and what they found in our report, CBS News, is that thousands of these guns are showing up at crime scenes across the country. The only thing that we couldn't pinpoint for this report is if any Miami guns were showing up anywhere, like a crime scene in North Dakota or things of that nature. But the problem is that there are 52,000 guns over the course of 16 years that were once owned by police departments that showed up in crime scenes.
I'm interested that only one local police department agreed to talk to you.
I'm not surprised that we didn't get a lot of reactions and a lot of interviews with these departments, but I think it's just because of the way it looks and appears. But that is why we asked all of these departments to sit down with us and gave them the opportunity to have the platform and explain it to our viewers.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did the story.
Thank you.
Chelsea Jones, thanks so much. All right, next on Miami Life, it is time for a midday snack. Time, huh?
This is a school hour. This is happy hour for the kids.
Happy hour for the kids.
Happy hour for the kids. No alcohol, of course. It's all happy hour.
And they are happy, too.
And everybody comes here like in a good mood.
We're going to take you to a local spot where everybody has a go-to order and also a tab. All right, welcome back to Miami Life. We all know that Miami loves progress. Well, the downside to that is many places that form the character of this town have been lost to history. The Wayside Market in Pinecrest remains stubbornly old-fashioned, thanks largely to its owner. From its classic shakes to its paper accounting system, it is committed to the old-school approach.
3 shakes.
It's on Red Road in the heart of Pinecrest. The Wayside Market is a local institution. Open since 1948, it has a well-earned reputation for fresh produce, much of it locally sourced, tasty pastries, and of course, its famous shakes. What are you ordering?
My go-to, the Elvis shake. Yeah, it's peanut butter and banana.
Hey, if you know, you know. Most people who come to Wayside have a go-to order. Some don't even come for a shake.
A little secret tip is you don't have to drive down to the Redlands to get the cinnamon buns. You can get them here every Saturday, fresh. So we like to come here also to pick those up.
When we stopped by, we ran into several regulars dropping in for an afternoon snack. How long you been coming here?
Since elementary school, since kindergarten.
Really?
So yeah, 15 years.
What is it about this place that keeps you coming back?
The shakes, passion fruit strawberry specifically, but mainly the shakes. On the same board as he is. Yeah. I'll only come here for the shakes, just the shakes.
Just the shakes.
Yeah.
Wayside is a generational place.
Ours everything.
Eli Taco understands that very well. Before he bought Wayside, he used to come here as a kid.
I grew up in this area. You know, I used to come here. I went to Gulliver Prep, which is like right down the street. I went to University of Miami, and we grew up like literally down the street. So you got two smalls and a tequeños.
When it came up for sale, Taco felt the pull of nostalgia and the desire to keep this beloved spot in the community.
It's a family-oriented place. You know, we're outdoors. You know, you get fresh air. You know, we have umbrellas and tables, and people they feel like they're on vacation. You know, they go to school like down the street. They come right after school. It's like a little treat for them.
The last thing he wanted to do was change things. He didn't remodel, didn't expand, kept things the same. Even kept Wayside's old-school paper accounts for customers.
Old school. If you walk through there, it's no computers. We have no cards, like literally no cards with the customer's name. Literally the customer's name. They come here, they say their last name. We put the date, we put the amount, they sign for it, we put it back in the box.
For some parents, a trip to Wayside is a carrot they dangle in front of their kids as extra motivation. One of the joys of running a place like Wayside is seeing the faces you remember as kids, all grown up, and bringing their children.
I used to see like little kids like this, you know, now they're coming, you know, 6-year-old kids, and now they're coming with their kids, and they're signing the same accounts.
For many customers, Wayside's a throwback they hope never changes. There are not many places like this anymore, are there? Is that kind of a shame?
It is, yeah. You know, these very tight-knit, kind of family-owned businesses, they're kind of becoming not so common anymore. And it's sad to see, but it's good that we have this one, so we have to enjoy it.
We actually ran into one person visiting Wayside for the first time. Greg Hoover enjoyed his visit, but noted that places like this are becoming extinct in Miami. You think that's kind of a shame that places like this are kind of falling by the wayside?
Oh, definitely, yeah. The old Miami had such character to it, and now there's Starbucks everywhere, which is way too generic.
Wayside sits on a very valuable piece of land. It's worth a pretty penny. Its owner knows it, but he's not interested in selling. Have you gotten offers for this land?
No, honestly, people might ask for it, but never really. I was like, oh yeah, oh okay. You know, I just brush it off. I think the people that come here appreciate that. Once you go big and you close it in and you put air conditioning and you put it high, and it becomes like every other place. This is unique.
A unique place where 3 generations of the same family can stop to enjoy a treat and enjoy the Florida sunshine. That is terrific. And by the way, this tip, if you go out there and you get the Elvis shake, ask them to give it a kick and they'll add a shot of espresso. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Time to hear from you now in our feedback section. And boy, did you weigh in on last week's story on the housing crisis here in South Florida. One user blamed the sky-high real estate prices on the influx of residents from other countries. And they said Miami and South Florida need to start banning international buyers and prioritize current U.S. citizens and residents. Another said Miami has the cost of living similar to Los Angeles, but salaries are more like Little Rock, Arkansas. And someone else wrote, you pretty much need to be a millionaire if you want to live comfortably in Miami. Keep sending us your comments and feedback to cbsmiami@cbs.com. That does it for this week's episode of Miami Life. We'll see you here every Thursday at 6:30 on the stream and 10 p.m. on TV 33. I'm Jim Barry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.